One of the ways that we can bolster our established belief structure is by limiting the amount of information we integrate. And oftentimes the way we limit it is by condemning it. We just say it's bad, it's wrong, it's evil, and then that way we don't have to assimilate it. We can, leave it separate from us. We don't have to integrate it. And for me, the perspective is that it's a growth process. And that as far as not wanting the magic and the awe and wonder of his belief structure to leave him, I don't want that to happen. I want him to be able to develop a perspective that can I don't even want to say I want him to. I don't even want to say that. It's not like I want him to anything. As far as I'm concerned, he is where he's at. He succeeded in what he's done, and he's doing what he's doing. That's that. And I would like to receive that same boon, that same blessing. However, I've come to understand that defensive techniques are very dangerous. You have to be very careful in how you defend yourself. It's powerful, and abuse of that power can really muck up the waters, muddy the waters, so to say. And what they're muddying is, clarity, understanding. I don't know where this is going with him, because I'm not sure how much he'll allow it to go. And I want to be careful not to overinvest, because when I overinvest in something, someone, I can get pushy. And I have learned that for me, getting pushy doesn't work, mainly because I don't got the will to back it up. I don't want to write a check my ass can't cash. And it seems to me that this guy has written a lot of checks. He made sure his ass could cash, and that came at the expense. That came at an expense, and there's a risk involved. And I told him that. I said, you're a risky individual, and he never thought of himself as a risky individual, that he was taking risks and stuff. And I thought that was very telling to me, because you can't go out into the world, because we were talking about how many times people can become martyrs, getting too pushy with their need to change the world, kind of thing. And we both basically agreed, yeah, nobody wants to be a martyr. And I had brought up Ralph Waldo Emerson, and how he said the communion is supposed to be effective once. You're only supposed to do it once, and it should be effective that one time. And it's the preacher's responsibility to make that an effective ritual, the one and only time. And he stopped being a preacher, because he realized, he was training his parishioners to keep coming back every week for another communion, as if it wasn't effective. And this goes to the idea of truly effective magic. Effective awe and wonder in creating the world we wish to have. And I think this is related to writing, if you write your own ticket, you write your own story you live by. What kind of story are you writing? I was thought of this because Carl Jung wanted to know what myth he was living by, and what was that underlying story he was telling himself, consciously and unconsciously, that he was leading his life by, that evaluated things, that controlled his behavior, because our values inform our behavior. And then once our behavior becomes patterned and regulated, it becomes the role we live in life. So understanding the story we're writing for ourselves, the myth we're living by, can inform us of, what's our place in this world? What is the stance and posture we take with life? In fact, I brought that up to Bob. I said, I realize in our conversation at the time, I was saying that you take a certain stance and posture with life. I know that was an effective picture for him, but he has too many questions. He's testing me. He's still testing me. How is it that I can live the life I live and it be so different from the life he lived? And how can I continue to live the life I live, respecting his social endeavors and how he made it through the world, and continue to live my life the way I do? Am I going to change? Am I going to do something different? And for me, it has to do with my vision, my view, and perspective on the world. How much of it do I see? As much as the world that I see and integrate, I know, I interpret it. I put my own blinders on myself, as to what I see and what I don't see. But I have this vision and I have this experience, and I'm concerned that if I just cut off certain perspectives, that I'm going to fragment myself. I'm going to split myself off into these portions of myself. And I'd rather keep it as a single cohesive vision. But part of this vision is success in the world, in the social endeavors, for the benefit of society, my society. And what that includes is the understanding that there is no real evil. Ground-pounding, factual, five senses evil, so much as aspects of the source that are coming to consciousness, which may very well destroy me. I give that its due, and I have to ask myself, do I want to be destroyed by these things? And, can I eat you or will you eat me? Fight or flight. And I realized for myself, a romantic comedy can integrate a whole lot more of the world than a tragic romance. A tragic romance often leads, like Romeo and Juliet, to death. And that's not life-affirming for me at this time. I can understand that there are some that feel that, martyrdom is the only way. But I like Ralph Waldo Emerson's view that the communion should be effective that one and only time, in the perspective that Jesus already did it. I was raised Catholic, and the point to it was that nobody has to do this ever again. It's been done. We're all saved. And so for me to martyr myself, though that may or may not happen, I don't know everything. I don't know what the future holds. And I may, if it does happen, I may fail miserably at it. I mean, especially when you got to put yourself up against a figure like Jesus. I just figure it's already been done. I don't need to do it. And let's just try and get along. And I've realized that there are a lot of things that I used to think were bad, and I came to realize that, like Nietzsche said, I'm afraid if I exorcise all my demons, my angels will leave me too. And this has to do with that good and bad, evil and righteous, where the value of what is good stems from the understanding of what is bad. Children do this all the time, Don't touch the fire. It'll burn you. That's bad. They get burned and they go, oh, that's what bad is. I understand what bad is now. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do what feels good, not what feels bad. And this I'm going to do what feels good thing, I think I read somewhere, I think it was a Wikipedia article on Campbell that had mentioned that he, from some people's perspective, when he said the term follow your bliss, do what you love kind of thing, that could lead to hedonism, where you're just doing what feels good and you're losing sight of the big picture of what is truly productive for society. And I think a lot of we have those 99 percenters now, the Occupy protesters, that feel that corporations and the rich are hedonistic and they're taking more than their share. That's a perspective. However, my father, who worked very hard, and I saw him suffer tremendous blows by life, physically, wanted to succeed and be the best he could be, and worked very hard and was successful. And I can think back in my youth not having the courage to face some of the pains that he faced on a daily basis, because they were just more than I could imagine myself experiencing. How I thought of my father as the occupiers might think of the 1%, and I think of it in a youthful perspective. I understand the occupiers' behavior in a perspective that they may not be fully aware that it's really hard to do. We're all suffering. The successful people are suffering too. And I mean this very generally. We can always find exceptions to the rule, but I think those exceptions fit right into the rule, in that there will be hedonistic individuals that really don't know any better. They're just doing what works, and they're not aware, and in their unawareness, being angry at them is ridiculous. It's like telling a child, don't touch the fire, Well, they're touching the fire and they're burning up, And they're like, woo, wow, I've never experienced this before. They have no clue, It happens. Anyway, yeah.